Tesla stock is up today, 7.51% on good news, but also despite some bad news. Let's go through everything. EV stocks today are mostly up with some exceptions. The markets are up, but not up enough to justify Tesla stock going up 7.5% in one single day. First piece of good news is that George Soros, the legendary investor, multi-billionaire, tripled his Tesla stock position, actually more than tripled. The fund also bought some Cathie Wood owned ARK Innovation ETF, which has a substantial position in Tesla stock as well, although he did liquidate a part of his Rivian holdings, but he also opened a fresh position in legacy automaker GM. His Tesla stock position, though, is not very high. It's only $69.5 million. The next piece of good news coming from Mexico. Mexico's foreign minister said that he met with senior executives from Tesla, teasing that good news is on the way as speculation runs high over expected high-stakes investment decisions. And it appears that the word imminent was used, which would make us think Tesla is about to announce a new factory in Mexico. More good news for Tesla, but not so much for Ford. Ford halts F-150 Lightning deliveries over potential battery issue. Ford is not aware of any incidences of the issue in the field and has not stopped sales of the Lightning, only shipments. It has also paused production while the issue is investigated. So this sounds that it could be potentially quite serious. Ross Gerber today also debated Gordon Johnson, which, there's going to be a video coming on that. And Ross thinks that Tesla stock today moved mostly because of Mexican Gigafactory announcement being imminent. There's still quite a bit of more news today. Next story is Tesla employees are tired of being treated like robots, seek to unionize at Giga New York. Yes, Tesla does have a factory in New York State. For example, they produce superchargers over there. It doesn't have a lot of employees, but it has some. The employees who label data for Tesla's autopilot technology at the company's plant in Buffalo, New York, sent an email to Musk early Tuesday with their intent to unionize. Employees say they are seeking better pay and job security alongside a reduction in production pressures that they say have been harmful to their health. Now, generally, this is also not good for Tesla stock overall if you are looking just at the Tesla stock price. Now, Elon Musk prefers employees to have stock options instead of being unionized. Amazon also, for the longest time, has been fighting workers who basically want to unionize. And looking at this, because there are not many employees here, you may think this is not really a big deal, and it's not, even if this does happen. But where a bigger problem could be is if, let's say, employees that work in California for Tesla or in Texas decide to follow the same steps and unionize as well. There have been multiple tries to unionize before. For example, there was this report, Tesla factory workers are in danger because Elon Musk hates the color yellow. Tesla factory literally has miles of painted yellow lines and tape. Report about forklifts not being pink is also BS. These are both demonstrably false, but were reported as facts by Reveal. Nothing is stopping Tesla team at our car plant from voting union. Could do so tomorrow if they wanted, but why pay union dues and give up stock options for nothing? Our safety record is twice as good when we compare it to when it was under a union, and everybody already gets healthcare anyway. And by the way, UAW has a history of corruption. After his predecessor's imprisonment, the union's president is being challenged for re-election in the first direct vote by its membership. A federal investigation found widespread corruption with a dozen senior officials, including 2 former presidents, convicted of embezzling more than $1 million in union funds for luxury travel and other lavish personal expenses. Since last year, the union has been under the scrutiny of a court-appointed monitor charged with ensuring that anti-corruption reforms are carried out. And this is New York Times reporting this, so you know they are going to be more on the side with the union than against it. So that's them saying this. More good news in California, which is the largest auto market in the US. Tesla Model 3 and Model Y, they both now get an additional $2,000 rebate. More good news, a story from Reuters. The European Parliament on Tuesday formally approved a law to effectively ban the sale of new petrol and diesel cars in the European Union from 2035, aiming to speed up the switch to electric vehicles and combat climate change. We knew that they want to pass this legislation, but now it is officially official. Troy just updated his delivery estimate for this quarter, which is now down from 438,000 on January 15th to 432,000, which is still higher than Vienna's consensus of 426,000, which increased from 421,000. Either way, what is clear is that Tesla is likely to have a record Q1. It's probably going to be the highest number of Tesla vehicles delivered in any quarter so far. And now some bad news, which actually are neutral news. This is not good or bad news actually, but it sounds like bad news. I'll explain why. Tesla Insurance new registrations in China from last week are at 6,963. That's 19% weaker than the previous week. These are basically local deliveries in China. And to compare, you want to look right here. In red, you will see this quarter. In this golden color, you will see last quarter, Q4, and this is Q3 of last year. Q3, as you can see, is pretty much the same, but the last quarter was quite a bit more. So a lot of people are a little bit worried about this. But here's the thing. The inventory level in China is actually looking pretty decent, meaning that a lot of vehicles were exported. So if you export most of the cars, it doesn't really matter how few you sell locally because the total numbers are still pretty good. In other words, if you haven't produced a car, you can't really deliver that car. This makes it much easier to compare. So this is the current quarter, this is the last quarter, and this is the previous quarter before this one. And right now we already have 41,000 deliveries this quarter, which is on par with the last quarter, which is specifically Tesla China, basically deliveries. Also, Troy is not worried about this. We need to wait a little bit longer and see what happens during the rest of the quarter. Gary Black also thinks that Tesla China had another respectable sales week. Although that is significantly lower compared to BYD, but BYD doesn't really export any vehicles. Tesla does, so that's why these numbers look so different also. And BYD sells hybrids, and hybrids are included in these figures. But I do want to see Tesla release a cheaper vehicle for the Chinese market as soon as possible. Here's something to also think about. At a PE ratio of 60, Tesla only needs the earnings ratio to go up just a little bit, not much, which I think would still be a very fair PE ratio. Tesla, I believe, is still way undervalued. The PE ratio should be a lot higher currently. But even at a PE ratio of 60, Tesla only needs earnings of $17 billion per year to get back to $1 trillion valuation, which would be roughly a doubling in the stock price. Q4 alone was around $15 billion annualized. And that is quite different from what Tesla Economist has been saying just about a month ago on January 5th. I'm not saying this is my price target, but I see a possibility of Tesla stock dropping below $20 per share. But even at $20 per share, Tesla is still valued at over $60 billion. That could even be high in a recession. And I personally sure hope that Tesla stock drops a lot, because then I would load up a whole bunch more. Although the likelihood of dropping down all the way to $20 from here, that's not a high probability. I mean, even Gordon Johnson is not saying Tesla stock is going to drop to $20, although he is saying it will drop to $24.33. This was on January 3rd. And this just happened. A new Form 5 filing from Elon Musk shows that he donated 11.5 million Tesla stock shares to charity last year, which would be worth nearly $2.5 billion as of today. Probably these are donated to his own foundation. I couldn't find the charity, so until I actually see the name of a charity, that's what I'm going to assume. And this is the Tesla stock buying opportunity explained by Elon Musk. My name is Matt Postis. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.